The first sound Laura Dale remembered wasn't her mother's lullaby or the Texas wind sighing through the cotton fields. It was the steady, rhythmic thump of dough being kneaded on the wooden counter of her family's bakery. Her parents, Ruth and Samuel Dale, had come to America from a small village in Eastern Europe in the late 1940s, carrying little more than 2 suitcases, a few family photos, and a secret recipe for honey rye bread that smelled like home. They settled in the outskirts of Austin, Texas, in a neighborhood that smelled of dust, motor oil, and hope. The Dales opened a tiny bakery on Pine Street, waking before sunrise each day to feed the city's growing population of workers and dreamers. Life wasn't easy, money was scarce, and English came slowly to them. But every evening, as the ovens cooled and the crickets began their nightly song, little Laura would hum along while sweeping flour from the floor. Ruth was the first to notice it, that shimmering, golden tone hidden in her daughter's quiet hums. One night, while Samuel read the newspaper and the smell of fresh challah filled the air, Ruth asked, "Laura, sing that song again, the one you made up yesterday." Laura hesitated. "It's silly, Mama, please," her mother insisted with a soft smile. So Laura sang. The melody was fragile, trembling at first like a bird testing its wings, but as she went on, the room changed. Even the creaks of the wooden beams seemed to still themselves to listen. When she finished, her father set down his paper and said, half amazed, "That voice, it could fill a hall." By 13, Laura was singing everywhere, at church fundraisers, local fairs, and dusty roadhouses where the smell of barbecue mingled with cigarette smoke. People would stop mid-conversation when they heard her voice, not because she was the loudest, but because she sang as if the world might break if she stopped. Still, being different came at a price. Her classmates teased her accent, the way she rolled her R's when she got nervous, the strange lunch her mother packed, niches and pickled beets instead of peanut butter sandwiches. In those moments, Laura would imagine herself on a grand stage, dressed in gold satin, the lights warm on her skin. In that world, no one mocked her, they just listened. Her big break came the summer she turned 17. A traveling jazz band from New Orleans stopped in Austin, and their singer fell ill just hours before the show. The band's manager, desperate, asked the owner of a local diner if he knew anyone who could fill in. The diner's owner grinned. "There's this kid, a baker's daughter, who sings like Billie Holiday met an angel." Laura was terrified when she stood behind the microphone that night. The club was small, the air thick with smoke, but the band's pianist winked at her and whispered, "Just breathe, kid. Let the song do the talking." The first note she sang turned the crowd silent. Then came the second, and the third, until even the waiters stood still, trays hovering midair. When the final note faded, the room erupted in applause. A jazz critic from the Austin Chronicle happened to be there, scribbling frantically into his notebook. "Greater than, a new voice has risen from the Texas dust, and it carries the soul of a generation." That review changed everything. Overnight, Laura Dale went from bakery helper to rising star. Record producers began showing up at the family shop, pretending to buy bread while secretly hoping to catch a glimpse of her. She recorded her first demo in a borrowed studio, the microphone crackling as her voice rose and fell like a prayer. But fame wasn't the fairy tale she imagined. In 1960s America, being a Jewish immigrant's daughter trying to break into the white male-dominated jazz world wasn't easy. Some club owners refused to book her. Others told her to change the name. Dale doesn't sell records. Something fancy, something American. She refused. Her father's words echoed in her mind. If they can't say your name with respect, they don't deserve to hear your song. Laura moved to New York City in 1967 with nothing but a suitcase, a demo tape, and $50 in her pocket. She rented a room above a laundromat and sang in smoky bars for tips, wearing the same faded dress night after night. There were nights when the audience barely noticed her, too drunk or too loud to care, but she sang anyway, because when she sang, the loneliness disappeared. Then, one cold December evening, Destiny walked into the club wearing a dark overcoat. His name was Jack Carter, a music producer with a reputation for discovering raw talent. He didn't clap when she finished. He simply waited until the crowd dispersed, then said, "Miss Dale, how would you like to make a record?" The first album, Midnight Honey, was recorded in 1968. The songs told stories of longing, exile, and resilience, echoes of her parents' journey and her own fight to belong. Critics hailed it as a masterpiece born from struggle. The album didn't sell millions, but it opened doors, television spots, bigger clubs, and her first national tour. Still, success brought pressure. Reporters obsessed over her heritage, asking if her Jewish background influenced her sound, as if music required a passport. Some mocked her accent, others her modest clothes, and one tabloid cruelly called her the baker's girl who doesn't belong. She never replied publicly, but one night backstage she told her pianist, "They can say what they want. I sing for the people who understand what it means to start with nothing." That strength became her signature. Fans adored not just her voice, but her spirit, the grit behind the glamour. She'd walk on stage in long satin gowns but still wear her mother's old gold locket, a reminder of the family that sacrificed everything for her dream. By 1972, Laura had sung in every major city in America. Yet she remained the same girl who once swept flour off bakery floors, now sweeping hearts instead. When asked how she found courage amid criticism, she smiled softly, "Music is my freedom. When I sing, no one can tell me I don't belong." And somewhere, thousands of miles away, in a quiet Texas bakery now run by her cousins, the radio played her latest single. The scent of honey rye bread filled the air, mingling with her voice, a living echo of where it all began.